Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our flip-flop gift tote. Now this is certainly going to be a crowd favorite. I just knew it from the moment I saw the original concept. And it's very simple to put together. I've got all of my pieces cut out here in front of me, as should you. And we're actually going to begin by putting together some of the, just the paper piecing stuff. So this here is the main design, okay? And now there's two sides to this. I'm only going to be showing you how to put together one side, okay? Now you'll notice that we have, we have two different kinds of straps for the flip-flops, okay? And you just want to make sure that you get the right one on the right side. Okay, so this one fits here, but it doesn't fit there. So they're kind of, they're mirrored, okay? So they're kind of the same, but they're mirrored. So just make sure that you get the correct corresponding pieces on the right corresponding piece. So you can see the only difference here is that this little section here is a little bit thinner. This one's a little thicker, okay? So that only fits here, it will not fit there. And these are mirrored. Now when we put these in place, the skinnier part of the little strap is going to be on the inside. Okay, so that's one thing to note. We can actually, at this point, we can go ahead and begin gluing these together. So we're just going to put some glue on the back of the darker color version or portion of the actual strap on the flip-flop. And you just want to align that with the little circle there. And then obviously the sides, just make sure that that sits nice and flush on the layer below it, just like that. And now remember, the thinner part is going to be on the inside. Now we're not going to actually glue this down just yet because we're going to add some dimension to it. We're going to glue the bottom part down, but we're going to pop dot the top part. Okay, so we'll do that after the bag is all put together so that we don't accidentally ruin it. But we do want to just kind of get all these pieces out of the way and get them all glued together. So you're going to do the same thing for the other side. So you're going to do this 2 more times. Okay. Next, we have a set of little leaves here, and I've inked and also embossed both of these. Now these are all symmetrical, so they're all the same, identical, I should say. I don't know if they're symmetrical. And we're going to take and we're going to glue these. These are going to get glued down flat onto the flip-flop. And you can see on the left and right side of our flip-flop, we have a little shadow version of the leaf. So we can just pop that into place. We'll do that with the next side. Okay. And then we just have some very, very simple 3D flowers to assemble. Nothing crazy. I'm sure you guys have put together far more complex flowers if you've done any of our 3D flowers. Okay, so just line that up with the little shadow element there. The rest of it will just kind of snap into place. Okay, and let's start with these flowers here. So we've got a 2-tone sort of thing going on here. We've got a darker and a lighter flower. So we need one of each. And again, for the leaves here, you're going to do the same thing on the other side for the back side of the bag. This is going to be the front side of my bag. Now for the flowers here, we're just going to take a dowel. You're going to stick your finger and the dowel between the piece of paper here, between the flower. And we're just going to curl it up about 90 degrees and just run the dowel through. Just like that. Okay, and that's just going to give it a little bit of a curl so it's not so flat. Just like that. Okay, we'll do the same thing with the rest of them as well. So once you kind of get the hang of it, it goes very quick. Okay, and then we're going to glue these together. And we've got a beautiful little center that we're going to add to them. Now, I finished mine with some bling that we had laying around that works very well with the main color of the bag. Now in this case, and this is totally optional, you can do it however you want, I've got the darker color on the layer below. You can make it the layer on top, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Okay, but you do want to offset these so that they're not sitting right on top of each other. You want each petal to be visible. And then you can take and kind of pull these up to create a little bit more separation between the bottom layer, just to make it look more full. Okay, and as I mentioned, on this flower here, we do have a little green center. Now that green center, I'm actually going to use a foam square to raise that up to give that even more dimension. Make sure you get it nice and centered. There we go. And to finish that off, I have this beautiful little pearl. I guess it's not really a pearl, it's just a bling that I'm going to glue right in the center. Okay, so there's one. And again, I've got the darker one on the bottom. So just throw a little bit of glue on there. That's way too much. Just kind of get rid of some of that. And as I said, offset it. So you don't want them right on top of each other. You want to offset it. Just rotate it slightly and pop that into place. And then again, you can kind of lift this up, create some separation. You can push the bottom layer down. Now, of course, that's going to flatten out a little bit once we actually glue it down, but it's okay. All right, so we've need a foam square. I think one is plenty. Pop that off, put that in place. Make sure we get it nice and centered. That looks good. And grab my bling. Throw a nice dot of glue on there and get that centered. It's optional. You don't have to add that. Obviously, you're probably not going to have the same exact one I do, but it's okay. All right, so that flower's done. And now we've got 3 little flowers here that all we need to do here is we're going to take and just kind of curl the leaves down. So same thing I just did with the last one. I'm putting the petal between my finger and the dowel, lifting it up 90 degrees and running the dowel through it. Very gently, and don't rip it. Okay, just like that. And we'll do that 2 more times. Now you, again, are going to repeat everything that I'm doing for the other half of the bag. I've got 2 sides. So I didn't want to have to do it. I want to have to do it twice because I think most of this stuff is very, very self-explanatory, very simple. Okay, there we go. And we do have some little centers for these. Okay, and all you need to do with these, we're actually going to glue these down flat. So I'm just going to throw a dot of glue right in the center of my flower and put the center in there, give that a press, make sure it is centered. Here we go. And the next one. Here we go. Whoops. And it looks good. There we go. And one more. And then we're going to build our strap, which will then lead us to putting together the actual structure. And before you know it, this thing will be done. It's a pretty straightforward piece, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so you'll see that already kind of flattened out. You can kind of, once we get it actually on the bag, we can go back and kind of fluff things up and make them more dimensional. But for now, that's fine. Okay, so this is the handle. You're going to do this twice. There's 2 handles, one for each side of the bag. One is a little bit shorter, and one is a little bit longer, and it has a little score mark. You definitely want to go ahead and fold it at the score mark. This we're going to actually use to attach this to the actual bag itself. And what I'm doing here is I've got my texture side here and here. So I'm not hiding the texture side here. You may as well show that beautiful texture if you're using AC cardstock. All right, so let's get this in place. Apply your glue to the smaller section of the handle. Okay, and just make sure you get it straight. You can definitely use the little score mark down there at the bottom to ensure that you have it properly aligned. There we go, just like that. Press that down. I'm going to keep this folded, and that's for a reason. I'll show you here in a second. Okay, there we go. And we have a little overlay that also has some score marks on it. So go ahead and get that folded over. There we go. Okay, now we're going to glue this down like this. And we actually want to, as we're gluing it, we're going to keep it folded while it's setting, because that's where it needs to, that's its final destination, so to speak. But let's get our glue on the main part of the handle overlay. I'm not going to put glue on the portion past the fold, so just leave that alone for now. Okay, and I'm kind of using the folded area here as a guide to make sure that I get that nice and centered. I had a little glue seep out there. I'm going to clean that up real quick. Okay, and keep this folded. I'm going to try to get that nicely centered. There we go. There we go. Okay, so just like that. Now that folded part has not been glued yet, and that's okay. Just press that down. There we go. And now you can come down here, pull that back, and bring that glue all the way out to the very edge here. I want to make sure that that sits nice and flat. Fold that over and just press that down, just like that. I'm having a little case of the excess glues. Take it easy here. I actually just opened up a new bottle of glue, maybe that's why. Okay, and we'll fold that down, and there is our handle. So as you can see here, I've already constructed one. You're going to make two of these as well. So that almost wraps it up. This we're going to leave off for now. We've got these little overlays here for the slot where our handle is going to go, and we want to pretty that up. So we've got this little oval piece that we're just going to glue right over the cutout. Just make sure that you get that nice and aligned. Here we go. And one more. There we go. Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, so typically what I like to do before we get into assembling the actual structure itself, I've already kind of pre-folded some things. Now this is a pretty large piece, and I think it'd be to our benefit to actually do this while this is flat. Okay, so we're actually going to glue just this part on right now. So go ahead and get your glue and apply your glue to the entire back of our flip-flop, as well as the little leaf section here, all the way around the perimeter, and then just hit the interior a little bit. And the goal here is to just make sure that you get it lined up with these little slits, and also keep your eye on the border going all the way around up here. Make sure that is nice and even. There we go. Perfect. There we go. All right. That looks sharp. Okay, and you're gonna repeat the same thing on this side. Now you'll notice on this side that I already glued the straps down. Don't worry about that. You actually don't want to do that yet. I'll show you the correct way of doing it in just a second. But I'm going to get this guy in place here, and then we can move on to the actual construction of the bag. Now, I'm not really into flip-flops. I think they look great on the opposite sex. The flip-flops that they make for men, they seem like, I don't know, they just seem kind of like I'm Bigfoot or something. Actually, if I need a quick pair of shoes, I have flip-flops, but I always reach for my girlfriend's. I don't know. I like the skinnier ones. Maybe they make them skinnier for men or something, but it always seems like I'm wearing, what do they call them? Like, you know, fins those giant fins that you use for scuba diving. That's what I feel like when I wear flip-flops, but they need to up their game on male flip-flops, I think. Okay, anyway, so we've got the two sides complete now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna connect these two sections together by means of this tab here. Okay, so we're gonna make this one long piece, and then we're gonna join it all together to make it a bag. So let's start here with this tab. Go ahead and place your glue on this tab, and then I'm going to take my finger and run this glue out to the very edge of the tab so that I get a nice clean seam. I want it to look as seamless as possible. And just butt that right up against the score mark. You don't want to go over it, and make sure that you are nice and aligned at the bottom here. Press that down, give it a few seconds. And then I'm going to take this and fold it over onto this seam. And if I need to kind of nudge it a little bit, now's the time to do that. The angles on these two tabs should be pretty much flush. Okay, we'll press that down, give it a few seconds to set. There we go. Looks great. Perfect. All right, now we're just going to close it up by putting glue on this tab and closing this up completely. So let's do that. There we go. Had a little bit too much glue there. That's good. And this is a symmetrical piece, so we should technically be able to put this down flat and fold this over. It should meet perfectly. Okay, so we'll press that down. Just like before, I'm going to take and lift it up and actually fold it over onto this seam so that this seam is at the edge, and make any slight adjustments I may need. There we go. Okay, that looks almost done. I'm going to give that a few extra presses. Wonderful. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to take and fold these tabs at the bottom down, and we've got two pieces that look like this. You'll notice that one of them has a little L cut into it. It's like a perforated L. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to find this is going to be my front, so that's going to be a good side. I'm going to take and we're going to anchor this piece. This is the piece that does not have the L on it. We're going to anchor this piece right to this tab. I'm going to do it this way. It just feels more natural. I'm going to take that glue and spread it out to the very edge. You see that I folded it flat, because if you fold it like this and try to spread it, you're bound to get it on this surface. But if you do it this way, you're not really going to get it on that surface. So now I'm going to flip it around this way. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to get it nice and centered on this tab. Just like that. Okay, once you have it centered and you're happy with the alignment, you can flip it over and press down from the inside on that tab there. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and close this up. Okay, so we've got the first part of the bottom anchored in place, which is going to make it a lot easier for us to get everything else glued down. I'm going to fold it back, get it out of the way, and we're going to apply glue to the remaining three tabs. Got a nice surface area here. This thing will definitely withstand the test of time here. We'll do a nice thin line right along the bottom. And I'm going to spread that out nice and thin all the way out to the edge, like so. Well, that was a very graceful rotation. Okay, all right, so now we're going to close this up. Focus on getting it lined up with this side here first. So I'm going to look at it from this vantage point, get that nice and aligned. The rest of it will sort of magically just kind of fall into place. Okay, and keep applying pressure, downward pressure, and you can get your hand in there and press down on the tabs. Make sure everything is sitting nice and flush. I'm going to continue just to kind of work my finger around the perimeter. That looks great. Perfect. Okay, now we've got this piece here, the one with the little L on it. That's our liner, and that's going to go inside to reinforce and also hide the tabs. So just squeeze a little bit of glue around the tabs there, maybe a little bit on the inside. You can see how methodical that was. That was sarcasm, by the way. And just pop that in and press it down. It's not going to go anywhere. Probably don't even need to use glue, honestly, but a little bit will definitely help keep it in place. Okay, so there we go. That's all in place. So now it's just a matter of putting our little straps in. And the way that we're going to do that is very simple, actually. You're just going to feed these through like so. And then we're just going to take and glue these down like so. Can you see that? There you go. Just going to glue that down. So we're actually only putting glue on the section of the back here that is beyond the score mark. So let me see if you can see that. Yeah, so just throw some glue on there like so. And we'll do the other one. I'll show you here before I glue it down what it looks like. Whoops, oh no, that's not good. I don't want to get glue everywhere. I'm going to be very careful. There, you can see the glue on there. Okay, just make sure it's straight and just fold that over onto itself. And press and hold. Give that a few seconds. Take a look. There you have it. Okay, so that's all in place and very nice. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So feed that through. Obviously, keep in mind you want to make sure that the side with the green panel is facing out. Okay, and then I'm going to just put glue on this section here. I'll show you again in a second. Got a little glue on there. Take it off before it dries. There you can see the glue on there. And then literally just taking and pressing it down onto itself. And just hold that for a few moments while it sets. And there you go. Okay, nice and sturdy. We've got 2 layers on there, so it's gonna definitely hold up for us. Okay, so let me go to the side here where I didn't goof up. Now remember what I mentioned. You want the side with the skinnier strap facing in, or facing towards the center of the bag. Okay, now also you'll notice that we do have some little markers here to help you with the positioning of that. And just to give this some dimension, I'm actually gonna grab some thicker foam squares. I like these black ones. Okay, I'm just gonna throw a foam square right there on that little circle. Okay, I'll peel that off, and then all we're doing, a thinner one on the inside, all we're gonna do here is just throw a little bit of glue at the bottom of this guy here. Okay, so the foam square is holding it in place up top, and a little bit of glue is holding it in place down at the bottom. So however you want to do this, I'm going to actually put this down flat since I've got live glue. I'm actually going to get this in position first, and then just kind of let the other half of this fall into place just kind of naturally. There we go, just like that. Okay, so it just adds a little bit of dimension. You can actually stick your hand in there if you need to give that section a little extra press. Okay, so same with this one. And again, keep in mind that you're going to be repeating all these processes twice since you're doing both sides. I'm only showing you one. Okay, got the thinner side on the inside, or the thinner strap in the center, and the thicker strap out on the outside. There we go. Beautiful and beautiful. Okay, so now all that's left is just adding our flowers, which is very simple actually. And You see this one, actually these we're gonna glue these down since we already have a foam square there, adding some beautiful dimension. So all we really need to do is throw a little bit of glue right there and just get that nice and centered. Right there, press that down, there we go. And again, once this all dries, if you want to kind of fluff the flowers a little bit to give them a little bit of dimension, you can feel free to do that. Okay. And the other one, make sure it's centered. Make sure that everything looks nice and symmetrical as well. There we go, beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna definitely flare and fluff those flowers up a little bit. And then for these guys here, these I am going to add a little bit of, well, I'm gonna add some foam squares to these. Okay, let me see, here we go. So that's really it. And again, don't forget to repeat this process on the other side. I know I sound like a broken record, but we're doing nothing different here. The other side is exactly the same. And that pretty much will conclude the assembly video for this guy. I'm going to see a lot of these, I know it. I'm making the call right now. And this little guy here is just going to go in between the two that are already there that have leaves. This one does not have a leaf. Oh, there it goes, just like that. Okay, and that's it. So again, don't forget to put your flowers in place on the back. You've got 3, and then you've got your 2 up here. And that's it. That'll do it. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please take a moment and visit us on our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit the little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release a new product, whether it be paid or free. And as I mentioned, or maybe I didn't, and if you make this or anything from our bundle, I would love to see it, and so would the almost 30,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can type in this little URL that you see here at the bottom and it'll take you right there. So happy summer, happy flip-flopping, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again.